where on the other side we see ignorance and what Smith might call stupefaction. Yeah. Smith too saw, of course, that there was a downside to the division of labour, but Smith thought, you could just counteract that with public education. There was a sort of pathology on the side that could be rectified. Whereas Marx says it is inherent to the present period, what he will call capitalism, that it's inherent to this period that there be a contradiction, a conflict between the potentiality of human beings, rich in abilities and talents, the potentiality of human beings on the one side, and the reality of their distortion and their inhibition and their stifling. Yeah. So that's the second collision between the two. On the one hand, you have Smith who says potentiality and reality come together, and on the other side you have Marx saying that they're opposed. That the reality of the world around us denies our potentiality. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think the world around you allows you to develop your potentialities? Allows people to develop their potentialities and denies them? What do you think? What do you think? I mean, you must have a view on this matter. Does the world deny your potentialities, or does it allow you to liberate them? Does it allow you to realise them? Conrad. I mean, you look as though a very happy sort of chap, you know. Do you feel your potentialities are being realised?
For the most part, as much as I can, contribute or control it.
Very good.
There are some things that I can't control.
Like what?
I mean, there's tons of other contributing factors, that prevent you from being able to fulfill your potential.
Oh, yeah? What part of your potential is not being fulfilled?
I didn't say me particularly.
Okay, that's very good. Well, what sort of people might you be talking about then?
Those who are on the lower end of the totem pole.
You're not on the lower end?
I mean, I don't consider myself, to be, better, but I'm not nowhere near the top.
In the middle, the great, glorious middle class. Yes. So different groups in society have their potentials denied to different degrees. Do anybody have views about this matter? Yes.
I believe that, I'm talking about America. Okay? Not in other countries where your level of you actually. I believe in America that you are the only person that can stop the potential from happening.
You are the only person
that can
It's up to you whether you realise your potential or not. Right. What's wrong with you there? Why? What, do you disagree? Do you just sit there and laugh and disagree or what? What's going on here? Come on, Chelsea.
For those of us that come from working class backgrounds, you realize very quickly that since you are basically trading your labor power for these things that you wish to have in the world, you're going to hit blocks, especially in education as an example, where if I want to realize my potential, or if someone even like in a position where they have more financial problems than myself, you have to work twice as hard and you have to make a lot of sacrifices in order to get yourself through school because you don't have a government supporting you, because it is your decision whether or not you go through the UC, or your decision whether or not you work hard enough to get a house. And that's taking away so many social factors of racism, classism, stuff, even if you're just talking money and labor power. It's really ridiculous. And if you have any inheritance.
Yes, at the back. Speak up.
I think that some of us can get lost in thoughts of weak capitalist society and believe that it's things to be that are possible to reach. For the most part, we don't even think about it. So, we don't really dissect it. We just think American dream.
We believe it, we don't really think whether it's true or not.
Yeah, we don't think about it enough.
You probably will have to think about this. But yes. So many people believe it, but it may or may not be true. It's not true. Very definitive remark. But many people believe it. Well, we're going to talk about that. Beliefs, yes, Julia.
I found a great example of this idea that different groups have different potentialities based on their gender or race. In Engels' description of the family in the last figures of the
Oh, you made my heart beat with joy!
Because everything is based on, according to Engels, on sustaining this mode of production. So, in order to sustain it, there needs to be some sort of conflict. There needs to be some sort of worker and property, and the worker needs to stay within the boundaries of being a worker in order for this mode of production to work and continue working. And that's how sexism, and it shows very well in study of family, sexism, racism, or other forms of segregation have come to being in order to continue to feed this type of mode of production that relies on the fact that some people are laborers and other people own that labor. And so, as a woman, and it's so, I love that chapter because it's so
Chapter?
hard. I mean, the chapter, the Engels chapter.
Are you talking about the section on the family?
Of the family and development of the state. So that you had us read a page from.
One page. Oh, yes,
But I continued reading because it was so pertinent, because as a young woman, like, there are things about being a woman that have, I think, denied me some of my potentialities, even when I've tried to either ignore them or say I still have individual agency, which I do, and I'm not going to deny my individual agency, but there are definitely situations where I find, like, he describes the double standard of, adultery and how women are supposed to be monogamous, whereas men, can be adulterous and it's still somewhat accepted, for example. But yeah.
Well, the first, I'm delighted that Engels turned you into a feminist. That's great. I will write to Engels and let him know. Very good. I was expecting him to turn you into something else, but that was very good. Yeah, very good. Do you want to respond? Does anybody want to respond? Yeah? Yeah. You start with it. This is very interesting.
Okay, well, back to about, okay, so thinking about whether, like, money-wise, I'm coming from working class, actually below working class, and I know I pay for school myself, so I know it is possible if you want to go on. It's just something you have to come to from your cost. But I do feel that people often feel that they can't do it because they play the pity role. Like, and that's that's all. I mean, you guys would all call me crazy. I don't care, but I mean, yeah, most people in the United States say that pitting people because of the fact that they aren't born with silver spoon in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, so I've always paid for everything in my life. I know it can be done. I mean, I'm here sitting with all of you. So it's just how hard you want to work for it.
Okay, very good. What's your name? Sorry? Lauren. Lawrence, two Lawrence now, yes. Oh, there's some hands up back up again. Yes.
I couldn't agree more. I think that, like right now in American society, we're really big on like, I deserve it. Everyone should go to college. I deserve this. Like, you feel like entitled to it. But there are some people like rising above and moving classes because they take out loans, work 3 jobs, whatever. Like, they just have to work hard enough to get there, rather than being like, I'm in this bubble of lower class, I can't get out. It's like, you just have to work hard. In the United States.
Okay, all right, so you all have different theories here, I can see that. I'm just still in the summary. I'm a we got another 53 lectures to talk about this. Right here. Yes, and you've got your sections, and you can come in groups into my office. But we'll move on. This is a very important debate, and we'll come back to it in a second, actually, and something that Marx and Engels will address, and in fact, sociologists are quite concerned with these questions about the denial of potentiality, or under what conditions we can realize our potentiality, who does and who doesn't. Very interesting set of questions. Okay, very good. That was only my second point in the discussion between Smith and Marx, potentiality versus reality. The third point, I'm sorry to cut this off, otherwise my dear side will kill me. The third point is, in fact, what Marx says, as nobody has said just at the moment that we talked about that time, as Marx said, essentially that potentiality and reality actually come together, not in contemporary society, but in a future society called communism, and we get to that future society how? Through revolution. Who's going to make the revolution? The working class. So we've already read references to that. We're going to have to elaborate that argument, but that's what Marx and Engels are going to say. And so what we can already see, and this is my third point, is that Smith only sees what? Individuals. Trucking and bartering and exchanging. And Marx and Engels are going to see not just individuals, but classes. Classes that that in a sense are composed of individuals, but individuals who are organized together into solidary units that in fact engage in struggles for particular goals. So he's going to talk about classes. So, as well as individuals. So that's going to be another tension between Smith and Marx. Smith really only sees individuals. Marx is going to see individuals and social actors, collective actors. And for him, the most important ones are going to be classes. And the fourth point, there's something that we didn't read, unfortunately, but I suppose we could. Page 681 to 682. Has everybody got their tucker? They must have by now. Very good. Let's see those tuckers. Get them out. We go. Neil, you're going. Let's have a look. Yes, very good. They look very unused. It's nothing open. Come on. You've got to take care of things. This book has got to collapse by the end of the semester like this one. Whoa. Okay. You've got to use it, so until it collapses, you have not used it until, the point of using something is to use it up. And that means in this case, so it disintegrates. Okay? Let's see how many of your tuckers disintegrate by the end of the semester. 681. This is a graveside speech, I think, I hope. Is that my own 681? Yeah. 681, that's right. Oh yes, this is the wonders of Marx. Well, what is he saying here? I can't read it all because I will lose too much time. You must read this. Like Juliana, you read the family passage. You must read these 2 pages too. But anyway, essentially what Engels is saying about Marx here, this is what after Marx died, this is a eulogy to Marx. He says, well, all right, third new paragraph, it says, just as Darwin discovered the law of development of organic nature, so Marx discovered the law of development of human history. The simple fact hitherto concealed by an overgrowth of ideology that mankind must first of all eat, drink, have shelter and clothing before they pursue politics, science, art, religion, etc. That therefore the production of immediate material means of subsistence and consequently the degree of economic development attained by given people or joy, bring a given epoch form the foundations upon which the state institutions, legal conceptions, art, and even the ideas of religion of the people concerned have been evolved, and in the light of which they must therefore be explained instead of vice versa. That is a very long sentence. Which is to say that people must, in order to live, they must produce the means of their existence, and they do that in particular ways, and on the basis of that we have philosophy, ideology, and different forms of state. That is one contribution of Marx, but that is not all. Marx also discovered the special law of motion going in the present day capitalist mode of production and the bourgeois society. That is the dynamics, the rise and fall of capitalism. He discovered the laws of capitalism, as if the capitalism was like a solar system, had laws of its own. So finally turning to the next page, 682. Now, so look at the 2 contributions of Marx. On the one hand, the laws of development of capitalism, and on the other hand, the very idea that material existence is the most important thing in history. And on 682 he says, in the new paragraph, this is Engels speaking, such was Marx, the man of science. And then dropping down to the next paragraph, Engels says, for Marx was before or else not just a scientist, but also a revolutionist. His real mission in life was to contribute in one way or another to the overthrow of capitalist society and to the state institutions that he had brought into being, to contribute to the liberation of the modern proletariat, which he was the first to make conscious of his own position and his needs, conscious of the conditions of his emancipation. Fighting was his element, and he fought with a passion, a tenacity, and a sadness, such as few could rival. I just want to look at the last paragraph. You know, he was a revolutionist, that he wanted to overthrow the existing order and introduce a new utopian order. And then Engels says, and consequently Marx was the best hated and most calumniated man of his time. Governments, both absolutist and republican, deported from their territories, always whether conservative or ultra-democratic, vying with one another, and heaping slanders upon him. All this he brushed aside as though it were a cobweb, ignoring it, answering only by an excuse as he compelled him. And he died. Oh, I love this. Oh, it's so wonderful. And he died beloved, revered, and mourned by millions of revolutionary fellow workers from the mines of Siberia to California, in all parts of Europe and America. And I may bold to say that though he may have had many opponents, he had hardly one personal enemy. Now that is not. And it's an interesting question how many people knew Marx, of Marx, in his own lifetime, Marx's lifetime. Of course, he became very famous subsequently. Okay, the point is this, that Marx, unlike Smith, whose object? Smith was concerned to persuade who? Governments. He wanted to persuade governments that they should have free markets. He wanted to impede, obstruct, tear down the apparatuses, the fabric of merchant capitalism, that is controlled and regulated markets, and Smith wanted governments to actually further free trade. And in some ways, you might argue that he would endorse the ideas of the existing regime in this country to pursue free markets. So he might say that in fact this regime is...
Well, I was wondering, because I've heard that as far as Smith supporting free markets, that his argument is much more nuanced and it's not necessarily... Like now he's used as, kind of the free market Bible, but in reality his argument is not really supporting free markets. In the sense, in a way he talks... This is what I've heard, I just wanted to kind of...
Well, we've already talked about this question. He's already seen that, he's insisting he's talking about free open market, he's talking about free and deliberate exchange. And you have to have so you need a government that is going to orchestrate that sort of exchange. So in that way it is more nuanced. And of course many governments, many states claim they are advocating free trade, but it's usually free trade for everybody else and monopoly for ourselves, right?
Yes.
But anyway, the point is that Smith's object was governments, trying to persuade governments. Marx was trying to what? He was trying to foment revolution. His audience was not governments, but the working class, in principle. So, okay, very good. So in a sense, one is about science and policy, science and economic policy. The other is all about science and revolution. Okay, well, that was all right, doesn't matter. That was all about Smith and Marx. I made 4 points about the ways in which, in a sense, they clash. But of course, I still want to emphasize both. Both were interested in markets and in the division of labour, even though they diverged in the 4 ways I just enunciated. So there's another side, and that's what we talked about last time. There's another side to Marx's relationship to other thinkers. There's Marx's relationship to Smith and the economists, but there's also, as I said, Marx's relationship, or Marx and Engels' relationship to philosophy. And here we're talking about his relationship to Hegel, who was the great philosopher of the time, the great philosopher that every philosopher had to read, the first half of the 19th century. Hegel. And, of course, Hegel had many disciples, and some of them were young, and they were called the young Hegelians. And we'll talk a little bit about those young Hegelians and who they were. Now, this text